In the quiet sound of Ogwashioku, where red earth stained bare feet, and the evening wind carried the smell of wood smoke and palm oil, a child was born on a night that refused to be ordinary. Thunder rolled without rain. Dogs howled as if mourning something yet to happen. The elders would later say the spirits were arguing. Her name was Zainabu Adebola. From the moment she learned to speak, it became clear that Zainabu had more than words. At 3, she answered questions no one had asked aloud. At 5, she warned her mother not to board a bus that later crashed into a market stall. At 7, she cried all night because she said, "The river is angry," and by morning, floods swallowed farms along the banks. Her mother, Mama Sadia, a trader in smoked fish, loved her fiercely but feared her gift. Her father, Baba Musa, a quiet man with hands hardened by farming, said little, only that Allah gives and Allah tests. But Ogwashioku was not a town that welcomed what it did not understand. By the time Zainabu turned 12, whispers followed her like shadows. She sees things. She calls disasters. She is not normal. Her gift was simple in nature, but heavy in consequence. Zainabu could sense events before they happened. Not clearly, not in pictures, but in feelings so strong they twisted her stomach and tightened her chest. Fear before accidents, grief before death, heat before violence, silence before betrayal. She tried to warn people. She really did. She warned Auntie Bo not to sleep with her generator on. Carbon fumes killed her that night. She begged Mr. Okeke not to travel during the rainy season. He laughed, called her a witch, and drowned when his canoe capsized. She told the village head's son, Yusuf, not to fight the boys from the next town. He returned with a knife wound that never healed properly. Every warning ignored became proof against her. Soon, when misfortune struck, eyes turned to Zainabu. If she knew, why didn't she stop it? They asked. If she spoke, why didn't we listen? The answer was simpler and crueler. People preferred blame to responsibility. The turning point came during the dry season when the old borehole collapsed. Zainabu had cried for 3 days straight before it happened. She refused food, refused water, curled up on the floor, muttering about thirst and dust and bones cracking on the ground. Mama Sadia took her to the imam, then to the nurse, then finally to the elders. "She is sick with visions," one elder said. "She is calling trouble," said another. On the 4th day, the borehole caved in, trapping 2 boys, Sule and Emeka, inside the pit. Only one survived. Grief exploded into rage. A crowd gathered in the square, voices sharp with pain and fear. Zainabu stood behind her mother, shaking. "Her gift is a curse," someone shouted. "She brings disaster," another yelled. That night, a mark was drawn on the door of their house with white chalk, a warning. From then on, life became unbearable. Children were forbidden to play with Zainabu. Traders refused Mama Sadia credit. Baba Musa's crops were trampled at night. At the well, women fell silent when she approached. And Zainabu's gift grew stronger. She began to dream of Ogwashioku and fire. The dream came every night for 7 weeks. Fire swallowing roofs, fire crawling like a living thing through dry grass, fire screaming. Zainabu woke each time with her throat raw from screaming words no one heard. "Tell them," the gift whispered inside her. "Don't," fear replied. She was 17 now, tall and quiet, her eyes older than her years. The town still watched her with suspicion, but something worse had crept in: independence. When things felt wrong, people secretly watched her face. When she flinched, they panicked. When she smiled, they relaxed. They feared her and used her at the same time. One afternoon, Pastor Elijah, the new preacher from the city, came to her home. "You have a calling," he said, his voice smooth, But gifts without guidance become weapons. Zainabu said nothing. She had learned silence was safer. That night, the fire dream changed. She saw the marketplace. She saw kerosene spilling. She saw a child crying. She saw herself standing in the square, screaming, and no one listening. By morning, she knew the market would burn. If she warned them and they ignored her, they would blame her again. If she stayed silent, people would die. Zainabu made a choice that terrified her more than hatred. She went to the square. As traders set up stalls and laughter returned to the air, she climbed onto the low concrete platform where announcements were made. "Please," she shouted, her voice shaking, "please listen to me." The crowd stilled. "I don't want anything from you. I don't want your fear. I just want you to check your stoves. Move the fuel away. Keep water close. Today is dangerous." Murmurs rose. "Here she goes again. Is she threatening us?" The village head, Chief Adeyemi, stood. "If nothing happens, will you leave this town?" he asked. Zainabu swallowed. "Yes," she said. By noon, the heat was unbearable. At exactly the moment Zainabu had seen in her dreams, a kerosene container was tipped. Fire erupted. But this time, something was different. Water was nearby. People were alert. Children were pulled away. The fire spread, but slowly, manageably. When it was finally put out, the market stood scarred but standing. No one died. Silence followed. Then something unheard of happened. Chief Adeyemi bowed his head. "We made your gift a curse," he said quietly. "Not you." Zainabu left Ogwashiuku a week later, as promised. But she did not leave in shame. She left with understanding. Years later, stories spread of a woman who trained communities to prepare, to listen, to take responsibility. A woman who taught that foresight is useless without action. And Ogwashiuku? They stopped waiting for one girl to save them. They learned to listen to warnings, to wisdom, and to each other. And Zainabu's gift? It was never a curse. It was a mirror, showing people what they refused to see until one day they finally did. The end. Subscribe for more interesting African stories.